Okay. All right, guys, and welcome to Future First Gaming's Pandamonium 2021. We are here for the panel today that'll be happening. We're here with hip hop gamer Dale Harvey and Bradford Harris. Yours truly, Andrea Richmond, will be moderating the panel, in which is why only 2%. Constructed barriers on the path to pro. And this isn't just pro talking about pro gaming, but everything in the esports space. A little bit of background before we start this panel. 83% of Black and brown youth today identify as gamers, but only 2% ever make it to the professional circuit. This disparity is not due to a lack of talent or a preference over casual, over competitive, but rather artificial barriers that may lie ahead along the way. So we're going to talk a little bit about it with our lovely panelists. But before we even talk about it, it's nice to introduce ourselves to the panelists so we know who we're talking to. So I'm going to go first with the hip hop gamer himself. How you doing? How's everything going? And let's find out a little bit more about you.
Yo, I'm telling you right now, son, this is Pandamonium. This is the way it's supposed to go down. It's the one and only hip-hop gamer, no stranger to danger, #1 journalist. Quickly, I changed the game up. You already know what it is. Now, listen, I'm going to tell y'all right now. For those that may not know me, I'll just briefly tell you this. My grandmother, rest in peace, she's the one who taught me how to play games since I was 4 years old, and now is what I do professionally, like career-wise, and I've been playing games all my life. When I turned 14, I started writing music, hence the name Hip Hop Gamer. So now what I do, I'm a business consultant, game journalist, philanthropist with my gaming and guidance program. I'm a character in different video games. I write music for different video games. Everything in the gaming world and everything in overall entertainment, I'm moving it. You know what I'm saying? I'm involved, heavy, crypto, all of that. So that's a little bit about me. It's an honor to be here with the rest of the panelists. Let's get this popping, son.
Oh, look at that. That resume stacked. Okay. He's been in this gaming space a long time, and he got the resume to back it up too. We're going to throw it over to Bradford Harris, learning a little bit more about him and what he does.
Well, what's up, everybody? I can't follow that hip hop game. I can't follow that. You know, I felt like that was Apollo. That was Apollo there.
He's so strong.
So strong.
That was strong.
Oh my God.
Gotta wake him up.
Look, I can't flow like that, but baby, props. But what's going on, everybody? I'm Bradford Harris, and I am an educator. 14 years in education. The last couple of years, I did a pilot for esports in the district in Houston, Texas, and now I've launched that to work for SHI, where I am now doing what I did in a district in Texas, and I'm launching that in all over the state of Texas and across the United States. And I'm also the director of learning for Texas Scholastic Esports Federation. So I'm known as doing the most, and I do it for everybody, especially for our Black and brown boys and girls. So as you can see around me, I do nothing but game, my kids game. I've been around gaming all my life. I have every system known to man now. I always say my 8-year-old version of me is jealous. I got it all now.
Same.
So you name the system, I got it. With the exception of the Nintendo 64, I don't got that, but I got it all. So my job now is looking at gaming for education.
All right. See, I gotta verify if you got a Super Famicom and all that different type of SNES, everything that you have back there. I gotta verify. Virtual Boy, all of that.
Yeah. I got the VR headset. I got the Super Nintendo is in the attic somewhere. I gotta find it, but you know, I got it.
And that setup is dope. Going to our next panelist, another dope setup. It seems like Dale is in space.
Oh, that we could have did many different backgrounds today. That's the one that popped up, and I wasn't gonna mess with it because it was working.
But it's apropos though. We're talking about Future's First Gaming. So being in space, you're already representing the future. Let's talk a little bit about what you do in this space.
Not a problem. So I'm Dale Harvey, but I'm also known as Pink Chaos Space Marine, mainly as That Gears Guy. On Twitter, I'm Penn State 67. And roughly we've been doing this. And what I mean by this is I've been gaming all of my life. I'm an old head. So I you know, a lot of people, they'll go ahead and they'll ask and they'll be like, what was your first gaming system or what was your first controller? And everybody will be like, oh, mine was Atari or mine was ColecoVision. We didn't have ColecoVision because we weren't rich like that. We were, you know, our stomachs were lined with poverty. But the very first system that we rolled with, my grandparents, they had some forward thinking. So I was rolling with a TRS-80. So, you know, we were back with code. When I say floppy disk, you're talking about like 3.5 disk, like a real floppy disk.
My gosh.
Like things that when kids see today, they're like, what's that?
Right.
They had no idea. But, you know, moving on from that, we went ahead. So, you know, you take that love of gaming. Then I was able to go ahead and get some really good training coming up. I've been a design drafter for the past 25 years. So then I was able to use those CAD skills to do some 3D design. So from 3D design, then, you know, I take my love of gaming and you put that into it. We go ahead and we start dealing with 3D printing. So then with 3D printing, you go ahead and you can parlay that into other avenues, other areas of entrepreneurship if you want to. But for me, what I bring and what my venue is, I'm the gamer. I'm the individual who has passion, and I'm the individual who's mad about all this BS and so many different levels in this that has crippled and held back so much creativity, so much innovation, and so much passion because, and for the simple fact of now, dollars. I, you know, like I'm hating this aspect of the industry where it's being pushed so much for that agenda for capital over everything else to the detriment of the things that every single one of us on this panel love. We all love gaming, whether it be tabletop, whether it be video games, whether it be, you know, phone games, iPhone games, whatever. We love that aspect of our lives. And to see individuals start to step into that and start to manipulate that in a way that's non-true to that passion that we all have, we all see it. It's just that we are now struggling to try and find ways to get in front of it, to move it forward in the way that we want to see it happen, to help innovate and to help young people also get into it and feel our passion and not to make these same mistakes that we see the greater majority of media, the greater majority of companies, the greater, you know, AAA used to mean something. I don't think it means that anymore. But I digress. We'll get into that.
All right.
Yeah, but that's an important thing. I'm so glad that you touched on that, Dale, because, you know, we're talking about why is there only 2%? And you talk about that capital. Resources is a huge thing that prevents that barrier from people to coming in. So what are the personal things that you've seen, whether it be resources, otherwise, that are preventing people from getting into these spaces and to being a pro in esports, whether it be from the front end side or the back end side?
If you're asking me what I've actually seen over the course of my career with it, because through cosplay and then through reaching out to different companies, trying to get resources, building relationships like that, what you'll see is it's very difficult to reach out to get those resources that you need to be able to project yourself forward. Yeah. And it's only by having candid conversations sometimes with developers, with artists that are actually making these games, to help them understand that by me doing this and spending my own time and money, you are getting free promotion right off the bat. You know, when you build that, start to build that community from the ground up, and you have your artists, your cosplayers, your people that will go in and spend their own time, money, energy, and passion to elevate what they see and what they love, then it's a win-win for you, and help and trying to make those higher ups understand the win-win that it is. And especially, and here's where we're gonna get real with it real quick, okay? From my experience, I can't speak about anybody else, but from my experience, if I was a presenting cis white male, those doors to access would be open 1000% more. Yeah. But when I walk up and I'm a dude that's 6'5", who's a thick dude, and I'm like, hey, I love your character, I want to do X, Y, and Z. Can I get reference images? Can I get some help from you guys? Those doors don't even open. All you hear is crickets. You want some WD-40 to, like, you know, grease up the joints because there's no doors opening whatsoever. And we have to find ways, whether it be, in my case, it had to be by hook, by crook, by talking to people on the back end, finding a way to kick down the back door when the front one was locked, in order to get what I needed to be able to present and represent them. And it was crazy because I'm just like, I'm trying to help not only myself by doing something that I love, but I'm helping you in the back end.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that you said that too, because Hip Hop Gamer, we were just talking about this before we even started, that symbiotic relationship, how sometimes you have to pull teeth for something that can end up benefiting the other person and both of you all at the same time. But instead, they only want that one-sided, oh, it's going to help me type relationship. Elaborate on what we were talking about earlier before this panel started.
All right, yo, bro. So, first of all, Dale, you the man, son. Now we're gonna capitalize. We're gonna capitalize on all of that, son. So, first thing is this, right? When you see these barriers that's put up, here's the method that's going on in the industry right now. People will build it so others can buy it, and that's the big problem right now because you have people that's in a position of power that has no passion for the culture, but they're in a position to buy it. And the people that build it, they live, eat, sleep, breathe this, but don't got the other element to be able to sustain themselves. So now they get missed out or they get their ideas stripped so that another image can take hold of the credit. Case in point, look at Jerry Lawson. You know what I'm saying? Jerry Lawson led the way. If it wasn't for Jerry Lawson, we don't got that Super Nintendo and that Nintendo and that Atari and everything that we're talking about. But the problem was, it wasn't a problem of what he was doing, because what he was doing was great. The problem was, we can't have this image be the face of why we have what we have. And that right there. So it's not the problem of the work or anything. It's the imagery behind it, because it tells a different story. That's the truth, besides the story that's fabricated that we've been seeing for so long. So that's the first issue. Yeah, that narrative. So that's the first issue. Now that we understand that issue, how do we get around that? So here's the second thing that I would say, and this relates to me and others, but I like to speak from my own, my own perspective and things that I actually went through in practice. So when I came in the industry, 2008, professionally, that was my first year going to E3 and everything like that. Now, think about it. It's 2021 now. I'm speaking on something back in 2008, but it still relates to this day.
Yeah.
I went to E3. At this time, I had the John Cena belt. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even have my own unique belt. And like that. I'm looking around and I'm walking in and I'm like, I'm thinking that we're all gamers. We all welcome. We all love this. And what I realized, I was like, I'm from East New York, Brooklyn. There's certain things that you try to get away from in the hood. So gaming was my outlet. And then I go to the Super Bowl of the gaming industry and I realized, dang, I'm still reliving some hood situations.
Yes, sir.
even even right now. And what I mean by that is, you got this click here. We don't want you here. Don't talk to this person, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, wow, that was a cultural shock to me, because sitting at home watching G4 at that time and reading IGN and all this other stuff, I'm thinking that we all have this common thread of passion.
We're a community. We're a community.
Yeah, like that's what I'm thinking. When I get there, I was like, yo, bro, it was not like that all the way. So here's what I've learned. What I've learned is, and I also picked this up from I forgot the gentleman's name, but he was on a Breakfast Club not too long ago. I forgot his name. Dang, I feel so bad. But what he was saying was, you have a lot of people that's in between of who you need to talk to.
Yes.
A lot of the people that's in between, it's like, yo, like these some like foul people. But then when you get to the main person that you need to talk to, you realize that, wait, do you understand who you got working for you? Because you're not like. So I'll give you a case in point. So my man Scott Fry, he used to work at Ubisoft, right? And now he's with One PR Studio. Scott Fry is one of the most amazing people I've ever met in the industry. You know what I'm saying? Mad cool, white dude. This is my guy. Scott Fry is one of many other people that came to me, was like, yo, at a Sega event, he was like, yo, we need you in this industry, period. Like, honestly, I'm tired of the stale, boring stuff like that. We need people like you in this industry. And ever since 2008, he's always been an advocate, helping me break down doors and stuff like that. Things that I couldn't do myself, he said, nah, get them in. And his position overrided a lot of the underhandedness that was going on. And then once I was able to get in, I'm like, yo, bro, check this out, I'll say this and I'll let Brad take it over. One of the biggest problems that relates to the barrier is that when certain people get involved, black or white, but when certain people get involved, now that they're in, they become a part of the problem instead of the solution. And the sad thing is, they know what the problem is, and you can see you contributed. Now that you're in, well, forget everybody else, because now we in.
Yep.
And that is the core of the whole problem, and that's what we're trying to alleviate and change today.
I'm here. I made it to my spot. I'm going to pull the ladder below me so that nobody else can get into that spot. And that's the thing that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Brad, do you have any comments on that?
I was going to add to that too. One of the biggest conversations that I had too with educators, especially educators of color too, when it comes to this too, is even within our own community, sometimes we could be our own barrier.
Unfortunately, it's true.
For example, like we talk about history of consoles and what was brought into our household, and I think all of us here are very fortunate, especially with parents who said, "Here, we're going to bring this into the house. Yes. Let's play. Let's do this." A Commodore was brought into my house, and Atari was brought into my house. All of those things were brought to my house. So your grandma brought a console into your house. Everybody in this panel, parents saw it. They probably didn't know what was going to go down the line, but our parents saw that. Let's do this. In our culture, some of them say, I can't speak for everybody. I'm not going to say all of us do that, but they see, no, you don't have time for this. Go out there and cut that grass. Go out there and get that football scholarship. Go out there and get that basketball scholarship. Go out there.
What's video games going to do for you?
What's video games going to do for you? Yes. And so, even my own parents, hey, we're gonna ground you. You playing too much of that game. We're gonna take that controller away from you, and I'm gonna put it in this dresser. And I wish you would go get it, because I got something for you if you go get it. We know we got them parents that are gonna do that. My dad did that, but they didn't understand. And even to a degree, for me, I got my own kids who are out of K-12. I mean, I did some of those traits too, but it was about when they broke it down for me and said, "Hey, look, Dad, this is work." Like my son broke it down, like when he's playing Dragon Ball Z, like, I got 500 hours of this and this and this and this. So when I go to so-and-so's house, if I go to my boy Dale's house and they say, "Oh, we just want to play Dragon Ball Z," he says, "No, this is serious. This ain't social time for me.
This is life."
Like, are you serious? This is life. Like, I'm not trying to get into esports or anything like that, but like, I've built up stuff. My daughter, she played Genshin Impact. When you I marvel about my own kids. I kid you not. I've been in this for so many years, and I've been in it where I thought that y'all saw the old school Xbox screen back that I had. I mean, I had them try to hold that, and they got frustrated when they were little bitty babies. And I thought, y'all ain't gonna be. I got this. Y'all never gonna play a console ever again, because y'all were crying, hooping and hollering, and now they're 20 and 18, and they surpassed me. Daughter's playing Genshin Impact, taking notes, has a journal, trying to get all of these points. And I'm like, dang, what is going on? And so now I'm trying to educate our culture and say, this is a community that takes work. There's so many opportunities there beyond just somebody just sitting there playing a game. They're streaming, they're journaling, they're doing all of these note-taking skills that align with math, science, social studies, all of those things. Hell, we just finished Computer Science Education Week. I need to put that shout out there too. This was Computer Science Education Week. This is an extension of that. This is so important that for our community, we need to understand that we could be our own worst barrier. Don't sit there and look at, like somebody like my son or my daughter or whoever, and they're just sitting there, playing the game, and they think they're wasting their time. You got to sit there and have a conversation, even with, let's just be frank, those white leaders,
Yes.
Those white leaders who's like, well, what they doing? We need to have a conversation about what this looks like for people like us. Why is Madden? Why are the NBA 2K? Why is that important? Why? I will say, Danny was on the panel yesterday.
Yeah.
I will tell you, the first time, it's not the first time, but when he had his people, when he had 5 black boys holding a big check, I didn't care what it was.
Power.
When is the last time that we saw 5 black boys say, I got a scholarship for being in a tournament? I had never seen that. So that's something that even in our community and even with our white counterparts, that we have to show that, look, this is important to our community. I don't care what game they play, but we see a lot of the Asian community, the white community that are in this, and we don't see a lot of our people in this, and they're getting scholarships and opportunities. I don't care if it's $5. They're in it, and they've got to be in it in order to compete, because we want to be able to see our people hold those awards up and get into the industry, because if we don't, then we're still having that 2% problem.
Yes.
We're buying all of these games. We buy them all day long. Like, my tab is up on my other screen talking about Xbox Fan Fest. You know, that's happening right now. Does our community, does the brown community, does a female community, whatever you search with, do they know about that? Yes or no? I don't know. But you have to sit down and be educated. My son, he was even telling me, what was it this past week? Dad, you gonna watch the Game Awards? Oh, dang! I need to be on top of that.
Right.
You know what's going on. You need to know what's going on to be a part of it. So we cannot be just a part of that 2%. We buy, but we're not in it. I'm gonna say this other thing too, and then we can transition too. I remember there was a game that's coming out. I think it's what it's called, Forsaken or whatever the game was. I forget the name.
Forsaken. No, Forspoken.
And so I remember tweeting that out, and I remember my boss said, "Oh, this is great. This is a female lead. She black. She got magic powers. She own it." And I remember her saying, like, you know, you can get that in books and all that stuff. I said, but what you gotta understand is when you have a black female that's not wearing short shorts or doing whatever, and it is powerful like this in a game. How many of that do you see? Like 3, 2? Like, that's huge. That's huge. Deathloop? Oh, come on, like things like
Deathloop.
that.
Deborah Wilson was just on the Gaming Awards, like providing voices, and that's so important as well.
I did a song for that game too. But
there you go.
Congrats.
Those are the things that are like big that we have to highlight. Look, there's somebody that looks like me in this game. Let's play it. Yes, the Madden and the NBA 2K, that's important too, but there's this other genre that we need to step into too, and also play, so we can be a part of that solution.
Right. And I'm so glad that you made several different important points. First of all, tell me that like Madden 2K and everything, like that's not important to us. When you bring up Marvel versus Capcom, I know when you go to a college dorm, it's lit when things are happening. So we play these games casually. And I'm glad that we have this mix in the media. We have people who are in the front of the camera, people who are behind the camera who are leading the next generation, and people who are in front of the camera. Because going back to what Hip Hop Gamer said, and you touched on this, Bradford, talking about these people at the top, like part of it is publicity, right? We play these games, but we don't know about these certain events that we might have access to. But then Hip Hop Gamer and also Dale too, you know, us being in the media, it becomes an issue of us not getting opportunities to be in the camera, because, you know, Hip Hop Gamer, you're talking about this. G4 was huge in like being an inspiration, being publicity, is seeing like people in these spaces, and then being in these spaces, it gives you, oh, I see somebody that looks at me in these spaces, I can make it in these spaces. But if you don't have the opportunity to get in these spaces, it also contributes to that 2% issue that we were just talking about.
Precisely.
Yeah. Go ahead, D.
No. Go ahead, Hip Hop. Do you think?
All right. So one of the things I wanted to say, you know, as we transition, now I wanted to talk more about the actionable solutions to be able to make this work and to make the change happen, because we know the issue, we know the problem.
Perfect.
So the first thing I want to tell you this, and this is a cultural thing. So we know what moves the culture forward. So when we talk about lifestyle, when we talk about hip hop, music, all this other stuff, one of the things that I'm doing, I'm just speaking for me right now, but one of the things that I'm doing is shifting the narrative from like, yo, you got the money, the cars, and the jewelry, you selling drugs, doing all this stuff on the corner, and that's supposed to be glorified because you get paid for this negative image. So what I'm trying to do right now is change the mindset and help people change their mindset that, yo, if you continue to allow yourself to be brought to produce this negative stereotype, then everybody is going to think that this is the way you have to go about making money so you could do your thing.
Self-fulfilling.
So what I'm doing is talking more about getting your credit right, crypto, and other things that's positive and powerful. Like for me, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't even curse. Like I changed a lot of things. So when I say something, I'm saying it because I am it. Like, I live that. So there's certain sacrifices that you would have to make for a greater role and a greater position and a greater impact so that these barriers don't become barriers for you anymore. You know what I'm saying? So that's the first thing that I'm doing, a mindset change. And when you get the mindset change, then it becomes cool to be celebrated for positive things and you getting bread at the same time, doing something that you love and it's positive. So now you get the mindset change. Second, after you get the mindset change, then you see more people coming to this one spot to do the things that we would love to see them do and be in the gaming industry in a different way. Now, when you said just when we buy it, right? As an ethnic group, when you talk about, African American and Asian and white, like all this other stuff, we spend the most money, like in gaming. Like we consume the most, but yet have the least representation. So if our money is good enough, then why the other side isn't? So now that we got the mindset change, what happens next is this. Like when there's something coming up, we got to start putting requirements on our availability. It can't just be the dollar and we move. It has to be other requirements involved that, okay, cool. If we're going to do this, we're going to do this, but I need you to have this person, this in place. So when we do this, we move as a unit so they can see us collectively instead of just me or instead of just that person. Because then what happens is it comes off as a token as opposed to a movement.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And you get caught into a fallacy too, where like, okay, there's only this or this type of black person that can do it. And there's not like, there's a huge slew of black people who are into things. Like give us the opportunity. And instead we only focus on this big group of like white Midwestern people or white Northeastern people. But it's like, there's a whole black community of different types of things who are interested in into different things.
Yeah, and the third point, the third point I wanted to make, then I was going to pass it over to Dale, is the third point I wanted to make is that once these things are involved in like, we got the mindset change, that's one, and then we got the actual action changing in terms of the group moving as a unit versus just individual placement here and there to say, hey, we got somebody. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, instead of that, that's the second thing. The third thing is the consistency of it. So one of the things that I always talked about was I never had a job in the game industry. Like, I'm not saying that that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just what happened. I never had a job in the game industry. So what I decided to do was I was able to move on my own merit and stand on that and still become successful doing it. What people are going to have to understand is that there may come a time where what you are part of may not work for the many. So whatever you're involved in, whether you have a job industry, whatever, learn the industry, learn how it works. Don't just look at a game. Look at the game, look at the audio, look at the agencies that these companies invest in, like look at the patents that are being filed for new game developments that's taking place. So you can see how the money is actually moving. You can see who's in these positions. My homegirl, Kimberly, she works for Onward Play, and Onward Play is an agency that's specifically designed to hire people in the gaming industry. Like these are the pillars that you need to be aware of so you can know how the entire industry works instead of a part of the industry. Because if you only know a part and you don't know the whole, you're always going to get played.
Everything that you said is diversity, equity, inclusion without being diversity, equity, inclusion. Basically, what you just said is you need to go out and learn this industry, and you need to be able to go out and ask questions. So a lot of what industries are doing, whether it's gaming or not, is we need a DEI committee. We need a DEI committee. We need somebody, black, brown, woman, whatever, to
Just
be a
one
part of
person
this.
too, right?
Just one person.
Right.
But
Yeah.
everything that you said was DEI without being DEI. You basically said, you know what? You need to go and learn where you work. You
Mhm.
need to learn what you're about to invest in,
Mhm.
not just, okay, I'm going to buy this product. I need to know what I'm getting into. It's no longer okay to spend $70 on a game. Now you need to think, I'm going to spend $70, but now what am I getting into when I spend that $70? Where am I investing that? Where is it going? Does that $70 in that $70 am I able to access what I need? Does the character look like me? Is there going to be an extra DLC pack, or is it going to expand beyond the ecosystem? All of those things you said
Yeah.
means that you have to go out and be a professional and learn the industry. And I really love that you said that, because that means you don't need a DEI committee. You don't need a DEI department if you're going to invest in it that way. But now people are like, well, we just need a DEI group to do all that. Can we?
Yo,
if we're gonna check the box.
Or DEI person,
you don't
right?
need
Or
that.
DEI
Yeah, yo,
individual
Brad.
exclusive people.
Yeah, you don't need that. Yo, I'm gonna just tell you one thing, and I'm sorry, Dale. I know you got something to say, but I'm gonna just say this.
Dude, do your thing.
Yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna say this with the whole DNI thing. This is just my take on it and stuff like that. But like, I've been in all these rooms. Like, one thing about me is that there's a lot of things that people see, and there's a lot of opportunities people got, and they don't even know I was one that put them on. Because I'm not trying to like, it was because of me. Nah. But a lot of people don't know. If I can make certain references and be like, yo, get that person. Well, it can happen. And the reason why is because of the due diligence that I did to learn the industry and how it works and how it moves, so I can help other people. Now, let me tell you about this D&I stuff. Let me give you the real, son. First of all, when it comes to diversity, like in inclusion, and Jay-Z said it best as well, you don't need a department because it's normal here. It's what we do. Why would you need a department for something that should just be normal?
Yes.
Like,
Correct.
that's one.
Ours.
And two, how you going to talk about a diversity and inclusion when you never even been to the areas that you're trying to say you support? Yo, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now, and this is just me. I'm a name dropper. You know, I name names, and sometimes if I don't name a name, it's because somebody asked me not to, and I do have my journalistic ethics. You know what I'm saying? But when I don't got that right there, I go all out. So here's what I would say, right? So when it comes to diversity and inclusion, you got a whole bunch of companies that got diversity and inclusion and stuff like that, right? So if I look at Xbox, and if I look at Sony, if I look at Nintendo, those are the like main players in terms of platforms and stuff like that, right? So shout out to Aaron Greenberg, shout out to Phil Spencer, love them, stuff like that. What I would say is like, yo, if y'all have a diversity and inclusion narrative, I need to see y'all go to the hood. Mm-hmm. And when I mean that, I need to see y'all go to the projects. Like, I'm from East New York, Brooklyn, right? Like, I would love to see a Microsoft executive, a Sony executive, Nintendo executive, EA. I would love to see all these companies. I'm talking about the highest of the high in position in those companies. I would love to see y'all go to Brownsville projects. You know what I'm saying? Go to Ceflo, go to East New York, or wherever hood. Go to Chicago. Go to Chicago, go to these places.
And I'm so glad he said that too, because like a lot of times when people think, and I'm sorry to cut you off, a lot of times when people think, oh, I need a black person, right? Like they think of all these of white groups, they think of them, there are several different types of white groups, but when we're pulling from a black community, sometimes it's only like a black suburban black community. We're not getting like people from like lower class black communities or like or all these other different types of communities that exist. Because the black community, I promise you guys, it's not just monolith. There's plenty of different types of us that
so many of us, so many all the time. We play everything. We do a lot of stuff. And one of the things one of the reasons why people try to hide it, like especially in the hood, because if you end up like, especially coming up, like if you playing Final Fantasy and Mario RPG in the hood, it's like, yo, you a nerd, son. Yo, get up out of here, son. Like they try to play you, you know what I'm saying? But if you play Madden or you play NBA Live back in the day, you cool. Like, you know what I mean? Street Fighter, you cool. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is with the whole diversity and inclusion, to me personally, I don't think there's a need for those like departments. It should just be something that's normal that you do.
Yeah.
I feel like when you keep talking about it on that level, you're just trying to make yourself feel good for something. When in reality, I'm not trying to make you feel good or feel bad. I'm just trying to do what's right and fair, because if you have it's just like crypto. It's just like crypto. If I invested $10,000 in a crypto project, right? And I got like 250 billion coins in this project. So I'm going to get a certain amount that belong to me because of what I invested in, right? So why is it that as a group, we invest the most and get the less back? That's not common. That's not right. So my thing is, the reason why that's like that is because we don't have the knowledge to know what to ask for, what to do, and how to impose our will to make the change happen, besides just talking about it. Talking is one thing to bring awareness. Action has to be the execution of change. So the action of execution that will bring upon that change is to be able to say that, look, we have certain requirements. Because what's happening right now, and I can tell you this like officially, iHeartRadio, right? So now, you know me, I'm with Hot 97, that's Media Co. But iHeartRadio right now, what I can tell you is there's one person in particular, I would love to name a name, but I can't name a name in this respect. They asked me not to be named. So I can't name this name. So, but anyway, they told me personally that, look, we need as many Black people and Black organizations right now, because the budgets are being cut for those that don't implement a program that speaks to Black people and Black creators and Asians. It's everybody outside of just being white, right? So a lot of companies, the reason why you see so many Black faces in this over here and scattered out right now in certain commercials, the reason why you start to see it a little bit more is because they won't get their budget in full if they don't. That's the truth. So the thing is, if you got a budget that's like 1.5 mil, it will get cut down to like 400K. Now, how do I know stuff like this? So let's take it back. If I'm not sure if you remember when COVID like really kind of like first hit, a lot of artists, a lot of rappers, a lot of people they couldn't perform. A lot of people was losing crazy money because you couldn't do nothing. Right. So where did they turn to? Gaming, because gaming defeats all recessions. You know how we do. So you started seeing new people, new faces, new money, new situations, just all of a sudden drop into gaming. So
Soulja Boy, most notably. Yeah.
So now with Facebook, you had the State Farm Play a Part Together stuff. You had all these artists and everything like that. I was a part of that, you know what I'm saying, facilitating that, as well as many other things. But the point I'm trying to make, because I love to be transparent with the audience, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people say a whole lot of stuff, but then don't say nothing. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to give you like real details here. So the thing is, when these things was happening, you got people that's not even a part of the culture like that. Because it's one thing to play some games, and it's one thing to be a gamer. Like, there's a difference.
True.
So you got a people that all of a sudden, you got $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 that you could just throw at certain people. They don't even game that much, don't even have a setup, don't even know how to do this. And with all that money, you could disperse that and give it to the real people. So once I learned and understood what was going on and I'm involved, now you can't tell me different. Because I know better. And this is what I mean. When you know better, you do better.
Do better.
You can acts, and you can have requirements, and you got receipts to prove it. And if that goes public, you know what's up.
And sometimes it's that access to get to that point to where you can know better to do that too, right? Because we're just saying, like, us being like sometimes hyper competitive in our own communities in order to get to these places, because as we were just talking about, like Hip Hop Gamer Dale, like only wanting like certain types or only wanting a few people in these spaces, and then guess what? You're gonna have to like get at each other in order. And no, we need to move as community. Dale, I wanted to talk about the media talking about like throwing it back a little bit to the media being the face of opportunities, not getting these, and how we can take actionable steps in order to get out of some of these pitfalls.
Not a problem whatsoever. First off, I'll start with this. The amount of actual effing power that we have within our communities, that we have within the diaspora of Blackness, the amount of power that we actually have that we do not utilize is staggering. It's absolutely staggering. as a community, as a diaspora, we can move mountains if we could just get focused. And the focus part, that part is the hard part because it's like herding cats sometimes. Because we all have our different things that we want to do. We all have our different passions and motivations, but there is an underlying root that we constantly neglect, and we have to tap into that, or we have to find a way to tap into that. And the minute that we're able to do that, we will be able to move mountains and create and continue that passion that we currently have. The media aspect of it, man, the barriers that you will find in places that you would never expect. And to go back and touch on a little bit of what Hip Hop Gamer said, 9 times out of 10, when you look at the individuals that have passion, the creators, the people who are physically making this, and then you look at the people that are the higher ups or the individuals that created something from scratch and that you're trying to gain access to, it's negotiating and navigating those gatekeepers and those middle people who are fighting to keep relevancy in their jobs. That those are the barriers. That is the gate that we have to continue to either dig under or find a way over. And the issue is that sometimes as we're trying to do that as creators and as people with passion, we lose that passion and we become discouraged because we are coming up against manufactured barriers. Like Hip Hop Gamer said, when you actually are able to talk to the people at the top, you will find that these individuals have the same passion that you do, or you will find that these individuals are people who have similar mindsets and that they will be willing to get behind you. And I can't even begin to tell you how many times that I've rolled up having created something and I'm trying to display that or show that to the devs of the game and be like, hey, I'm out here. We're out here doing this thing. Oh, by the way, I have all these children here with me who are behind me, who are pushing forward in this and literally getting knocked down at the gate at every single time. But then I'll go to some place like PAX East where I'm able to actually get out there and talk to a dev and they'll be like, that is freaking amazing.
Yep.
Here's my contact information.
Yep.
Let's talk because we need to make this work. And then they'll be like, why haven't you reached out before? I was like, I've been reaching out for the past 6 months. Right. What are you talking about?
Right.
And then you have that part on the media. And I just want to drop back for a quick second and put this point out there. One thing that I desperately want to see our community do, I want to see us introduce to as many children and young people as possible the notion and the idea that there is more than one way to make and succeed in this industry and any industry that you talk about. Because when I talk to young people now, I constantly start to tell them, like if we're talking about cosplay and we're talking about a set of armor that I made or something like that, and I always bring this up and I'll be like, do you like movies? And they'll be like, yes. I was like, all right, then what if your favorite movie is Black Panther? I was like, when you watch Black Panther, here's what I want you to do. In the credits, I want you to watch the costuming group. I want you to see all the people that were in that costuming group who made that happen. I want you to see all the people who were technically important to that. And then I go back and I hit them up and I say this. You see all of those people that are in that group? I was like, as a cosplayer, you get experience in every single one of those fields. So from costuming to materials application, to adhesives, to like every single thing that you do to create something on your own at home, you are physically doing that. And these are jobs that are never talked to you about. These are things that are never introduced to you.
Yep.
And these are the things that I'm like, our community desperately needs to say to them, you're not a nerd and you're not a geek unless you want to be in those areas that you're touching on, because you can do all of these different things and you can do them well. I was like, so don't get down on yourself because your boys is just like, oh man, you like to go dress up in costumes and X, Y, and Z. I was like, I may love to do that, but that's me becoming something different and exposing my passion out there. What are you doing with your time? And if you and it's not even a negative thing. I was just like, dude, I understand that, but you said that you loved. I was like, you loved Iron Fist. come on, dude, I can show you how to go ahead and make some of them gauntlets. Come on over. We can talk about that together. And then we can talk about how we parlay that into even more and getting to that 2%. That 2%, like you talked about, that 2% of pros in this type of industry, it's more than just being a pro gamer.
Yes.
You can be a pro in the back end. You can be a pro audio visual.
Absolutely.
There's so many. You could be a pro IT. Getting like literally yesterday at Pandamonium, when my brother walked around the corner and he was like, "Yo, we finally got Mario Kart linked up and everybody up and running." And I laughed. And I was just like, "I know how difficult that was to do." He's like, "Bro, you have no idea." Like,
setup is so hard.
And like it's stuff like that you get that access. You get that. So yeah, the media piece of it. It's just so interesting to navigate those waters because you have to fight so hard to get access. And you do.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You want to say something, hip hop?
Yeah. So one thing I was gonna tell you is, so one of the things that's changing in the industry that people gotta like realize too. So I give you an example, right? Back in maybe 2013, 14, something like that. So I spoke with. All right, now keep in mind, like I keep telling y'all, I worked in the mailroom. So when it comes to the music industry and all this other stuff and what they're trying to do now in gaming and stuff like this, Kevin Lyles, Mike Kaiser, like all these people, like, you know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, y'all, because I would go to on my lunch breaks, like I would go and do interviews with like Kevin Hart and all types of stuff like that, and then come back from lunch and people be like, yo, what are you doing and why are you still here? Like, you know, it's crazy. But the reason why I said that was this, like there's now in the industry, when you look at CAA and UTA and all these other companies, these companies got relationships and they can move mountains like that because of the nature of who they are in their business. Remember, these people manage Will Smith and stuff like that. They have pull, Grammy awards. Like they could do so many things just like that. So I went to them years ago about, yo, how come y'all doing all this other stuff, but y'all don't have anything in the gaming division? And the gaming is no more form of entertainment. And y'all entertainment. Like how y'all don't have this? And it's like, oh, but no, we're not interested in that right now. We don't see the, all this other stuff. And then I'm like, okay, all right. So now it's like a normal thing. We need to get this. It's so normal to the point where even signing record deals, it's required that artists have some sort of gaming deal attached to them because now they get a part of that. This is what I was telling you about.
Paul George owns an esports team.
Exactly. So it's a part of the build and the buy. So to capitalize on what Dale was saying, one of the things that need to happen like now, like for real, is to start to erase this whole 2% and these barriers and stuff like that. We have to be involved with the type of deals that's being made. We have to change the narrative of the requirements. So I'll give you an example of something that I'm doing right now that I think is going to be game changing. So there's certain deals that I got structured right now that where it's required for me to be able to bring 10 different people with me and they get paid to do it. So for example, let's say I can't speak too deep into this, but you have a lot of people that's streaming, right? And so many people are so hung up over numbers and subscribers and likes and followers that they'll do anything. They'll go outside their moral character just to try to get some subs and numbers. But it's damaging. It's damaging in the long run because what happens is you'll be fake to try to win now. And when your now doesn't work later, you can't decide to be real later. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta be careful what you commit to out the gate because it can ruin what you want to do for the rest of your life later on because nobody's gonna believe you. So what I'm saying is I have deals in place right now where I have groups of people where if you come and do this particular deal, regardless of their follower count, they get paid. Regardless of your follower count, you get paid and you get paid good.
That's great.
This is
honestly.
So what I'm doing right now, and you'll hear about this probably in March, but because it's already being done. So I got to set up to where if you're a streamer and you have and you are part of certain programs, then that will allow you to get paid for your streams. And if you get better and your numbers start to get up, then you get performance bonuses based off of those things.
There you go.
But at the core,
Yeah.
because you got to understand, you got some people that's amazing, but you may not know about it. Look at LeBron James. If there was never an NBA, look at Michael Jordan. If there was never an NBA to show their skill set on, look at Fantasia. If there was never an American Idol platform,
Right.
seen on. So what I'm focused on is building out a platform so people could be seen. So regardless if you got followers or not, yo, bro, I know people that got like one follower that's nicer than people with millions. So it should let you know that the marketing, it's a whole system that if you don't have access to, what's the alternative to still win? And I'm providing the alternative to still win.
I find that an issue being like a black and brown streamer, like you have to constantly, it's about access, right? We talk about access and opportunities. Well, if you're like an individual that is spending a whole bunch of their own personal money to buy a game system, game systems are expensive. So you need to come out of pocket to do that, but you need to work to be able to do that. So you're not able to dedicate as much time to be able to get in front of the camera to build these streaming assets. And then that becomes an issue. So Bradford, talking about you have an esports organization that is for the youth. You talked about having all these consoles, and that helped you get to a place to where you're in this industry. So how does your organization provide access and opportunities for youth in order to build up that next level and break down some of those barriers that we've been talking about?
Well, let's be clear. This didn't happen overnight. This was blood, sweat, tears, fussing, cussing.
Nothing good is, right?
Pretty much almost going to divorce court, things like that. I mean, it's a lot, and you know, you still have another job to do too. Like everything I did, everything, not just me, but the nonprofit too, is all nonprofit. And so Saturdays giving up, and this is all streaming at home. And during COVID, everything we did was during COVID. So just because you think that, oh, we're just gonna stream and we're doing it live and when you're at your house, that's still work. And I even thought about this the other day when I was doing my own little streaming show or whatever. I was like, man, it's a lot of work just to set up. You can't just, I'm gonna just put on my headphones and click start, and here we are. You know, Dale, we all got our background stuff. You mean I just talked about earlier how I got my setup. This took years, and I only got like this many followers. But like, it was about you know the hustle. You know, how can teachers come together to make esports equitable for everybody in the state of Texas. And we're speaking for teachers. We're not speaking for industry people, because we want to make this work within the education system. And we're not administrators, we're not principals. We're classroom teachers at the time when I was in it, and I'm still in it. But majority of us in the organization are classroom teachers. So while my org still has testing tomorrow, we got a tournament the next day. How do we build for that? How do we talk to other districts about building up their program and make it equitable? And how are we asking those questions? Now, we don't have no DEI committee or anything like that, but I'm making sure that I'm asking those questions on how are you making sure that your program for your district is diverse. How are you making sure that you're getting the right equipment for everything that you need, even though you have probably $1 to your name? How can you get started? So everything that you all were talking about just now was about getting started. You have to get started, and I think that's our biggest hang up is getting started. I was in conversations this week about where does this fit? Who do we talk to? Where do we go from here? And I'm like, okay, that's the biggest hang up. Like you haven't even decided to just press the power button yet, but you're trying to make it fit somewhere. But meanwhile, the kids just want to be in the room and play. Yes. Can we play? Can we get started? But the adults in the room are trying to figure out what we're gonna do. What we're gonna do. And I'm like this: as long as they don't play a mature rated game, you're good. You're good. But like the adults are trying to figure out, okay, where can this fit? How can we do this? How can we do that? And the kids are like, can we just get started? We know Discord, we know Twitch, we know this. Can you just make sure that we're in a group and we're being facilitated the proper way? They're not saying those words, but at the end of the day, I was thinking, man, sometimes as adults, we're just our biggest bear. We're not really educating ourselves on how the kids just need to get started
Yes.
in this. And I like I said, like you see my background and all this stuff, and that took the whole pandemic to realize I just need to be like this, and it took forever for me to get here.
Yeah.
But and I'm telling kids and teachers, like, you just need to just go in and sit down and play and get started, but making sure that this is equitable for everybody. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I only have a Nintendo 64. Okay, so what? Well, I got to stream on Twitch. No, you don't. I mean, let's just get in there and get started. We'll figure all that part out along the way. Your
Yes.
kids just want to play. Well, I mean, the tournament takes forever to set up. No, it doesn't. Who said you got to do a tournament? You can do a gaming club. You can do this. The point is, you gotta get started. And then, like Hip Hop Gamer was saying, I could get you there. We'll figure out the sponsors in a minute, but we gotta get started with something. Can we
Yeah.
get started? So then we can start asking those critical questions on how does this fit? Who do we need to talk to? Why is there only 2% here and here? But if we're sitting there for a whole year and we haven't gotten started with anything, that's a
Problem.
problem.
Mhm.
That's a big
Sir.
problem. And it took me forever to figure that out. Now, of course, I had to do my research and figure out, of course, how does this fit and whatnot, because I didn't know how this looked in the district. But
Right.
looking back on it now, I knew that there was, I call it my underground clubs, nothing bad about it or anything, but kids were already doing this and teachers were letting them. So I'm like, okay, we just I tell teachers now, you just got to get started. Don't be afraid. And it's okay if you're not the expert. That's the biggest thing that people don't understand too. It's like, Dale Hip Hop, y'all were coming in and y'all did y'all research and you're ready to talk to the leader or whatever. And when I was listening, I'm thinking, yeah, they were scared because they thought, oh, this person is the expert. They're about to take my job. It's none of
Oh,
that.
It's
Yep.
not a
yo,
competition,
all
yo.
the time,
Sometimes.
son.
It's
Yep.
none of that. I'm just coming in and saying, hey, can we have this program? I'm not coming in to do team takeover. If you're scared about me doing team takeover, then there's something wrong with your job already. I'm just
Precisely.
come I'm just
One
coming in and
hundred
saying,
percent.
hey, I'm just coming in and saying, hey, I want to do this for this organization. I want to do
Mhm.
this for this community. And hey, here are my resources. Can we get something started? And then when they look at you, go, wait a minute, you got it all together. I see you as a threat. I'm not coming in as a threat. I'm coming in as I want to get something started for the community and I want to make your company better. I want to make us better. But we have to get started. We
Mhm.
Yes.
got to
Gotcha.
get started.
So,
And
yo,
mm,
I'm sorry. I just had to clap it up for that.
yes,
Ah,
Go
that's
ahead,
awesome.
yes.
Andrea. Go ahead,
It's
Andrea.
facts. It's facts. And you know what? I'm glad because we've hit a couple of these like recurring themes, like being genuine diversity and inclusion outreach instead of just like picking a couple. It has to be all inclusive, moving as a group, having access, providing that support, like you talked about. Because if you have support, how can you do things? Knowing about the different paths and getting started in order to make things happen, so we can take these actionable changes. Because I feel like we always have these conversations and we know how to fix it, but now it's time to actually start to move. All right. So as
Yes.
we wrap up, we're coming towards time. I want to ask all the wonderful panelists. I want to thank you guys, first of all, for being here, the
No,
awesome
thank you.
insights that you guys have had. And we're going to close with some of the visions that we see in the future going forward in this space and how we can move that, make that 2% number way, way, way higher like it should be.
Okay.
Okay. So,
We could
You go ahead,
me
sorry.
set it all? Or, all
Yeah,
right,
go
cool.
ahead. Sit
set
off.
it off.
All right, cool. Oh, Steve in the building. I see you, son. I can't hear you. Oh, all right, there you go. There you go. There you go.
What's
But
up?
no, we
What's
still
up,
can't
y'all?
hear you though. Oh, I now we hear you. There hear you. All right. So just so to wrap up, wait, what was the question again? You said the 2%. What?
Yeah. What's your vision for the future going forward to make sure that this 2% is going up? What's your vision? Do you see it? What's your number? How do you see this happening,
got
et
you,
cetera, for
got
this
you.
2%?
Got you. So I definitely see it going up. Period. Definitely see it going up.
Has to.
How it goes up is what I want to talk about. So, what I would love to see in the future and what will happen in the future. I can speak on what I'm doing, and I'm also speaking on what I would like to see collectively in the industry. So, what I would like to see collectively in the industry is an actual investment group that's designed solely to empower communities in areas that don't get the opportunity. What I mean by that is this, like what Danny Martin was saying with the exposure that he has in Dallas and stuff like that. Because of what his infrastructure is and the way it works, and it's amazing, and Brad talked about it earlier, there needs to be like a good $10 to $20 million investment in what exposure is, so exposure can be duplicated in every city. That's the first thing I would love to see. Because what happens is if somebody builds something that's amazing, I don't need to build the same thing that you just built now. Like, you got it. How do we take what you got and duplicate it? Because it's easier to integrate instead of just reinventing the wheel. So that's what I would love. Danny, that's our brother. He built something. Now let's take what he built, because it serves the purpose that we're discussing today, and make sure he has millions and millions and millions of dollars of an investment, so we could take what's in Dallas and make sure it's in Chicago, make sure it's in New York. Then eventually that joint could be in Africa. I don't care. But that's the first thing that I would say. Things that we already see that exists, that works, and that's good, but it's just at a low reach level. We invest in all those things so it could be duplicated. Like, you see how we got Starbucks? You see how we got McDonald's on every corner? You see how we got all those things? We need to see that for exposure as a regular thing, just like how you see a Starbucks everywhere you go. That's the first thing that I would say that that should be done from an investment standpoint. Right? Now, on a personal note, from the way that we grow this is, in my situation, from journalism to media and everything like that, it needs to be talked about more in more publications on a regular basis. So just as fast as you could know that Kanye West and Kim Kardashian broke up, the same way you get that information, in the same way that's spotlighted and thrown at you, or when you turn on the news and somebody got killed and shot up and blah, 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 the same way we get that level of news in perpetuity on a regular basis is the same way we need to hear about what we're trying to build culturally in the gaming space where all of us involved. We need to be championing each other the same way we champion that type of news. So we get those two things involved. And how we get those things involved, it goes like this. So a lot of these companies, like these network companies, media and stuff like that, you have agencies that they do press tours, of information and stuff like that. So what we have to do is take our stories, all the things that we're doing, and funnel it through the news so that we can be able to have it blasted on a regular basis. So it's not just heard about when we have these panels. It's heard about it just on a daily. And then now we just got new news to talk about when we have panels instead of just the same things and trying to figure it out. So those are the two things that we need to happen. Investment in things like exposure and other things like CEO and, even with Capcom Pro Tour, like all these things, we need to have reinvestments in so it can be in each city. So it's reachable, it's touchable, it's tangible. You see it, you know where to go. Right? Just like how you go to a club and you want to get some girls and you want to dance like that, you need to be able to go here and get educated on what we love to do.
Yeah. All right. So
That's
more
what I would say.
outreach, more publication. I like that. We're going to go through Dale. Dale, what's your vision for this space and how you would make that 2% number way higher?
So if we're trying to make that 2% number way higher, one way that I can see it happening, and it goes back to the foundation of what we currently have going on now. Right now, we have a foundation where gaming is mainstream. Gaming is normal. It's not a situation anymore where in the diaspora or the Black community or the POC community, where you would look at that and we would say, oh, you a nerd for this, or you're a geek for that, or all we do because, and I'm so tired of this and I know I hear it all the time. all y'all do is play Madden and 2K, and all y'all deal with is sports games, and that's all y'all care about. And it's not outside of the community that's saying that. It's inside the community that constantly says that. And that is not the case. What my argument is there are tons of, for lack of a better term that I can think of at the moment, there are tons of undercover POC gamers that are playing Final Fantasy, that are playing RPGs, that are playing Deathloop, that are playing story-oriented games, that are playing games with strong feminine heroes. We're there. We are there. What we have to do is just pretty much to grow this is pull the cover off in our own communities and say, hey, it's okay to play whatever you want to build the skill set that you want to have. There are how many of you who are here today have grown up with people that you looked at as you were growing up and you were like, that individual needs to go in the NFL today, not tomorrow, today. How many hood cats have you known that were amazing artists, incredible chefs, people who did grassroots outreach in the communities and were able to build phenomenal, just incredible things. And then when you check on them in 10 years, that vine that was growing has been strangled off and cut from the root and has been thrown away. That is the resource that we have to capitalize on. That is the resource that we will capitalize on as we continue to move forward with people like here on this panel, because each and every one of us, we have a greater mission than what is seen before us at any point in time. We are here to outreach, we are here to grow, and we do it in our own respective ways. But it's because we have passion in that community. We have passion in the little boys and girls that we see around us. We have passion for those grown men and women that we see around us, but are too shy to step out of their comfort zone and say, this is something that I love. So it has nowhere to go but up, because it's been beat down for so long as being something that's a negative, that we can turn it into a positive very easily. It goes back to putting in that effort, watering that grass, and herding all of those cats into that 1%. And that's where it's hard. It's not going to be easy. Bradford, just like you said, there's those of us out here who have been streaming for 6, 7, 8 years and still have 5 people that watch us. And we got those core 5 or 10 people that watch.
That's all right.
And we keep going out there every week on our schedule and doing the best that we can, because we understand that for us at that point in time, it's not about the numbers anymore. It's about the love that we have for it, and reaching out to those communities and talking to those people who come in and being able to share sometimes something with someone. Because when we are able to share sometimes, it's phenomenal. The people that are listening that we don't know are listening. That are actually taking something from us, that little nugget from us at one point in time, and wrapping that up in the paper of their life and taking it home and opening it up and saying, this is what it can be. This is what I can aspire to. I can do something great because that individual's doing something great and they look like me.
Right.
We can make that happen. So that's all I got.
Oh, Dale, that was amazing. Like poetic too, wrapping it up on the paper, hurting cats. There are a lot of different analogies that you're using. Very poetic. Amazing. Way with your words. We're gonna wrap it up with Bradford talking about your vision going forward and how to make that 2% number so much higher, like it needs to be.
So I agree with the whole panel. The 2% is going to go up. And here's a common thing that I heard from both of you. Both panelists talked about it, how this was going to grow. Here's the real deal. For all my educators that are out there, this is a STEM, CS, digital learning issue. The minute your baby, I'm not talking parents, educators, the minute your baby can walk, speak, or whatever, hold an iPad, it's time to learn something digital.
Yes.
As well as their language, whatever their language of choice is. They've got to learn it. And educators and parents, you can't push this aside anymore.
No more.
Digital STEM, CS, is no longer an option. It's no longer, well, we can talk about this later. Because I know as panelists we've talked about this, and I know in the back of my mind we're thinking these are for like the high school people. I don't know, we weren't really saying that, but I know some people think, well, high school people, college people, that's when they learn it. No, the minute these kids get into this world, they need to start learning this. And as adults, we can't be afraid to learn this either. Okay, think about, and I said it this week again too. We were in this pandemic, and I told somebody today, I mean, not today, earlier this week again, I said, from my lens, it took forever, 6, 7 years for me to teach people to click on the share button to learn how to use Google.
Wow.
Okay? And now because of
That's so crazy.
now because of a pandemic, everybody is on it and still don't know how to press the share button.
Nope.
Okay? We can't have this anymore. I got two kids. Who are out of K-12, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, when I'm starting to be a granddad, and if by the time my grandkids turn 5 years old and education is still the way it is, it's a problem.
Mhm.
It's a problem. Now, I don't know the solution yet, but we have to start thinking about what that looks like for those digital kids, those CS kids, those STEM kids, because that is what's going to open up these industries. It starts in pre-K kindergarten. It starts there. Imagine when these new pre-K kindergarten kids walk in, and then when they graduate in the senior year, what opportunities can already be there? It's gonna be there. But again, I still say it. We want to hold us back because, oh well, we don't know Google, we don't know this. Y'all, if y'all not on LinkedIn, forget the Twitter, forget the TikTok, forget all that stuff. They talking about metaverse and all this stuff right now. If you're not paying attention to what's going on there, you are already about to be behind. I'm not saying you need to go on ahead and embrace it, but you need to start learning about what's going on in these spaces, educators, so you can start weighing in on what's working and what's not going to work. We cannot wait on another apocalypse and a pandemic to say, okay, now it's time to get on something. Okay,
Probably
now
too late then.
Now it's time to look at esports. Okay, now it's time to look at gaming. Okay, and we can't do that. We already doing a disservice. So what we need to do now, the whole community, white, black, brown, Asian, whatever it is, we need to start looking at what does this look like for our young students who are coming in, who are already in it, who are about to walk out, because this digital space as a whole is important, and we all have to learn it. And don't be scared, y'all. You cannot be scared. It's okay if you're not an expert, but you gotta step out and you gotta learn. Once you learn, what's that saying? Knowledge is power. The more you know, the more you know, the more you grow, right? So just go on ahead and just get started. And I said it earlier, you gotta get started. Once you get started, once you start planning, then the doors are going to open up, and then we won't have to have, we still need to, but we won't have these conversations where it starts getting heated and we all moving around in our chairs, fussing and almost literally cussing about why can't this happen. Imagine in 12 years what this could look like later on if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing now. If Dale, the hip hop character, said this is what you need to do now, what would this look like in 12 years? We should not be having this conversation in 12 years.
No.
We better not. We better not.
Better not.
Thanks.
We better not. And like you said, the more you know, the more you grow. Hopefully you've grown, viewers, from this wonderful panel, the knowledge that was spit today by these wonderful panelists, Bradford Harris, Dale Harvey, hip hop gamer. Shout out to Steven.
Yo, Malcolm is in the building. Malcolm made it. No, what's up, Malcolm?
Yeah.
Future First Gaming,
bro.
Pandamonium. Pandamonium 2021. Thank you so much for coming to the Why Only 2% Constructive Barriers on the Path to Pro panel. I am your host, I guess, Andrea.
Right on.
She forgot.
I forgot. I can't be slipping like that. And thank you so much for coming out. And I'm going to pass it back to Steven for this wonderful job. Thank you guys so much for having all of us here.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you all
man.
so much for joining us here at Futures First. We love you. We admire you. We appreciate every single thing each one of you all is doing to help us advance esports for people that look and sound and walk and talk just like us. We got a long way to go, but we know with people like you behind us, we're going to do it. We're going to do it big. And so I'm so excited. I'm so thankful for you all for joining us. Andrea, fantastic, fantastic job hosting. Please don't make this the last time that we connect and you work with us, because we got something here and we're gonna keep it going. Hip hop, you already know what it is. Bradford,
son.
we got work to do. We got big plans. They don't know what's coming, but everybody here is gonna be a part of that. And Dale, man, much love. I love you so much. For those of you who don't know, that's my brother. We get it in. And the way that we gonna get this 2% to 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 is to make this thing a family affair. We all family here, and God bless you all. So thank you again. Thank you for being part of Pandemonium 2021. And from me, my guy Mal, Nudie, and the whole Pandemonium Futures First Gaming family, God bless.
Peace.
Peace.
All
See
right.
y'all.